Thank you so much for coming on board with us this morning for this webinar. So we'll talk about the organization. I think that's actually very important for you to understand how this is set up. We're a little bit different than what you would find from another vendor. We'll talk about the membership levels and where you fit into this. We'll talk about custom groups because that's been something that a lot of companies are starting to do. And then we're actually going to get into a little bit of a demo and show you how you would place a call to another member company. So we'll cover that. A lot of you are part of both the premium and the basic relationship as well as custom groups. So we talk about, well, how do you pick what relationship to be in, things you need to know about before you call, how you escalate a call, all this kind of stuff we're going to cover. And we'll talk about the legal framework and the member web. What we're not going to talk about is case exchange. And that is the ability for you to be able to initiate a call to another member and either through the member web electronically and track that call through the member web electronically, or actually we have connectors for some of the more popular CRM systems. So this has been a feature that the members have asked for quite some time. It's now been implemented out within TSANet. There's actually no charge to implement it. Paul is the one that kind of does the demos on us and helps you get implemented, answers all those questions from the IT department. So, you know, if you need information, there's a ton of stuff on the website, and then Paul can get in touch with you about that. So if you're interested in case exchange, and I hope that you are, please reach out to Paul, and he'll be more than happy to walk you through it. But we're not going to cover that. This is more of the 101 of TSANet and the basics of it. So we're going to cover that in this particular webinar. So here's the high level of the organization, and I think this is important for everybody to understand that what's different about TSANet, and I know everybody says they're different, but the fact is we are a not-for-profit, and we were organized by the industry back in '93 to do exactly what we do, with a mission of providing a relationship structure for the IT industry to be able to collaborate and work with each other. That's what we do. Nothing that you're going to see here is something that TSANet came up with it. It's all that the members came up with it. So Paul and I both directly report to a board of directors, and that board is elected by the members, and they're elected every year. We've got elections coming up. So the point of you to take away out of this is that you all that are on this call are members of this organization and have a vote just like everybody else does. And we've got a leadership team that's elected. We've got committees. The more you're involved in this, the better you're going to make this organization. So we want you to get involved in it. It's easy to do that. All that information is up on the website. So please, you know, take another look at it and look at this from what would I like to get out of the organization, because that's what we're here to do, is to serve you. So we've always operated on a small global staff. Stephanie's over in the UK. We've got Reiner in Germany. Paul's down in Louisiana. We've got a small staff here in Overland Park that runs things. We're actually up to several hundred members. We're pushing the 500 member category, which is an all-time high for us. So I'll explain exactly how that works and why we have so many members when we get into the custom groups and talk about that. Here's the other key takeaway for everybody to get out of this. What we basically did as an organization was we went back and got all of these legal teams to agree to a common set of verbiage that we now call the Code of Conduct. What that code does is says that if you're going to work with another member, that this is the confidentiality statement that you're going to work under. This is how you're going to handle confidential information between members if you're engaging and working with them. This is how you're going to handle intellectual property issues, things like that. What we did was we've created this industry standard language that allows us to build these relationships very quickly and very easily. So I can take, and we'll talk about custom groups, but I can tell you from experience, usually the time to get somebody on board to TSANet with a relationship with 100-something companies is a week. And if you were to do that through individual CSAs, believe me, it would take you more than a week, right? The lawyers alone would want to battle this out. So what we've done is we've created this legal infrastructure that every company agrees to. the larger companies all the way down to the smaller ones. And then we've also, on top of that, created an operational framework, which is our member web, which gives everybody one place to go to see how they're going to work with another company and one place to go to update that information. And that's what I'm going to demo for you. So that's what the organization is. We're going to kind of dive in here. The next two slides are just about the membership levels. And you can go back and actually look on the website at tsanet.org and click on members and see what level that you're at. But this is how we started the organization, was with what we refer to now as this many-to-many group relationship. And what it is a community, right? It is a group of companies that have come together, and if you join into that group, you can work with everybody in there. There's an obligation for everybody to work with each other that's in there, and it's a one big community. And then we actually split that up into two communities, which are both many-to-many groups, the basic TSANet and the premium TSANet. And the premium TSANet is essentially just a subset of the basic TSANet, but it raises the bar. And it says that, yeah, I agree to work with all these companies at a premium level, where on a 24/7 basis, with higher level SLAs, on a global scale. So it basically is just a subset, but raises the bar of, yes, I agree to work with these other companies at that level. Now, the key to making this work, because you've got 100+ companies that are in the basic TSANet, the key to making this work is not only are your partners in there, but also your competitors are in there. So the issue then becomes, well, wait a minute, I don't want to be obligated to work with my competitor. I don't want to put myself in that position. So what we do is we say, well, there's got to be a mutual customer in play between the two of you. So no one is obligated to work with another member company in the basic or the premium TSANet unless there is a mutual customer in play. And that mutual customer typically means that it's a customer with a support obligation with the other company. And when you move that up to the premium level of TSANet, that means that customer must be entitled for 24/7 support. And this is where you get into the differentiation between premium and basic TSANet. And one of the problems that we run into is people automatically running to the premium TSANet because they're premium members and using that relationship to contact another member that's also a premium member. Well, that may be fine, but that customer needs to be entitled for that 24/7 support. And if they're not, then you're probably going to use the basic TSANet. So that's one of the key things to take away out of this is, if you're a premium member, that's great, because then you can call these other people, and there's that obligation on that 24/7 level. But there's got to be a mutual customer in play that has that level of entitlement with the other member. Okay, so that's the open group model. This next slide is when we talk about custom groups, and then we're going to get in the demo, right? So I told you this is kind of easy stuff. It just takes a little bit of an explanation. And in the custom group area, this is something that our members have really started to embrace and work with. And this is the ability, what they did was they came back to us as an organization and said, well, that basic and the premium TSANet, you know, that covers about 90-something%, 90+% of all of my relationship needs that I might need with another company. But there are cases where I've got something a lot more strategic in place that I want to have something different. I don't want to have that obligation, or perhaps I want to have a relationship with this other company that's not a member of TSANet, but they don't want to join into the big group for whatever reason. Maybe they don't have a reason to collaborate with more than one company. So what we did was we went back and we said, well, we've got this legal structure, and the way that it's set up is very easy for you to set up another relationship that you could actually host. And you can go in there and then define the terms of that relationship. So, and this morphed into what we call custom groups. So what this does is this gives the ability for you to not only use TSANet at the basic and the premium level, but for also you to create your own relationships and kind of your own infrastructure if you wanted to do that. And these are split up into two sections. There's the peer group and the partner group. And the peer group is pretty much what you see here. You could set up a one-to-one where maybe you don't have entitlement. Maybe there is no mutual customer in play because it's a solution that you and another company have already put out and everybody knows who the customers are. Or maybe it's an engineering to engineering. I've got these relationships that span all sorts of different types of things. One of the others that we're seeing right now is this many-to-many, where a company will come up, or a group of companies will come up and say, this is my solution that I have going out to the customer base, and I want a very high level of escalation and collaboration between a small group of companies. So they'll create this hosted relationship. They'll pull these companies in as a small many-to-many, but it's by invitation only. And the elements of that relationship are defined by that group. And the processes, and you'll see that in a minute, are different for that group than they would be for the basic or the premium TSANet. So you can kind of see that what this is really a catch-all for relationships. And a lot of companies, especially the bigger companies, are now using TSANet within this framework to say there's no point in me going out and creating a separate CSA, or when it comes to the collaborative support, I just use TSANet and I'll pull those companies in and create that relationship that I need, because we're likely already members anyway. So very easy to do, and you just work with TSANet to establish that relationship. The last one over here is a partner group. This is where we get into why we've got so many members. And a lot of companies, they have many of you have partner programs. And what you want to do within that partner program is simply create that mechanism for you to work with your partners, or your partners to work with you, or both. And so what we've done is we've gone out and created the ability for you to pull in those partners, so that from your perspective, it's a one-to-many relationship with your partners, and from the partner's perspective, it's a simple one-to-one relationship. And this may be something where there could be hundreds of partners in there. So what we've done is given you the ability to pull those people in at a really reduced rate for them, a very small annual fee that you can actually pay for the partner, or you can have the partner pay. At the most, if the partner pays, this is $500 a year, right? So and it goes down from there depending on how you set up the program. So that's what these custom groups are all about. And we get in, I'm going to show you this demo. You're going to see in this member directory, well, why don't I just do it instead of talking about it? So what I've done here is I've logged in as EMC. And what you're going to see here, what I was going to show you, is you see all these companies that are grayed out. Well, these are partners that are in a one-to-many relationship. Now, in this case, I'm logged in as EMC, so I don't have a relationship with these companies. They're not part of the basic TSANet. They're not part of the premium TSANet, and they're not part of custom groups that I have. So I can't directly collaborate with them, but if I do click on it, what it'll do is it'll come up with a message that will be sent to us as TSANet staff, and we can very easily go back to that company and say, hey, this company wants to have a relationship with you. Let's either pull them into a custom group with you so that there's another one-to-one, or let's try to get them to upgrade into the basic or the premium TSANet, which, by the way, we've been very successful at. But anyway, that's the difference. That's where this limited group comes in, and the custom groups come in to play here. But the point here is to show you this member web interface. So one way or another, and I've got multiple ways that you can get into this, and I actually come down here and click on My Relationships. But this space up here is what we call the My TSANet space. And this is nothing more than a shortcut of what you're going to see down here in the member directory. So if I wanted to go collaborate, here's all the companies that I have a relationship with. Now, this doesn't tell you right here what kind of relationship I have, whether it's basic, premium, or in a custom group. And that will take you to the next level. So I'm going to pick a company. We'll click on Microsoft here. So a call's come in. It's determined that I need to engage and work with Microsoft. So what I've done here is I pulled up Microsoft, and it's showing me that I have both the premium and the basic TSANet. If I look down here at the bottom, I'm actually going to see that I've got a limited group, a custom group as well called MVEC. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you can see here what Microsoft has done is they split this up by region, by geographic region. If I were to go back in and pull up IBM, you would see this split up not only by geographic region, but I'd see it split up by product group. So you're going to see this a bunch of different ways. I pull this one up because I want to contrast the basic and the premium TSANet, but I also wanted to show you that you can have different departments. Sometimes it's just one department. The bottom line is I'm going to select the basic TSANet in the Americas here. This is where it's going to take me to. And this is what that shortcut does on that main page, is this is the contact document. So this is where Microsoft is saying in the Americas region, for the basic TSANet, this is how I want to be engaged. So you can see the first section, and this is split up into sections. The first section here is before you call me, this is the information I need to have. This is where I'm going to define what a mutual customer is to me, or what information I need to be able to ensure that it is a mutual customer of mine. And this is an important section, especially when I show you the premium TSANet. And then down here, here's just the information on this is how I want you to call me. Here's the number I want you to call me. Here's a code I want you to give me. And then down here is an escalation path. And you're going to find the same contact document for every member company, for every relationship. So what they do within the basic TSANet is they're basically telling you to call this number, give this code, and that's going to get you into support. And then they're going to do basically what we call entitlement on the back end. If I were to look at Red Hat or other companies, you're going to see a different area. They're going to say, have this account number ready before you call me, et cetera, that kind of thing. But to contrast the basic and the premium TSANet, I want to go back and I want to use Microsoft again. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the premium TSANet. So now you can see the difference here is that they're asking for a lot more information, right? Because this is a customer now that you could be calling on at 3 o'clock in the morning. So that customer needs to be entitled for that level of support. And sure enough, if you look down here, what they're saying is, make sure the customer has this level of support with me. And by the way, when you call me, preferably just have the shared customer on the phone with you. So what they're basically doing here is they're ensuring that that call is getting into the right level of support, because it is a premium level support. Again, let's go back to the basis of TSANet is the ability for you to call on behalf of that mutual customer and not finger point that customer around. It's the whole point of this, right? So you can go back to that customer and say, look, I got a relationship with Microsoft. I can work with them. I need this information. Or if you just hang on the line with me for a little bit in this case, right, let's get you entitled in there, and then you can drop off and I'll work with them. We'll figure this out, and then I'll let you know what the solution is to that. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you. I'm going to go back to my TSANet space. I want to touch a little bit on this custom group thing. And you see I've got one up here called MVEC, and I'm going to use that as an example. And what this is so this is a group that's been set up. This is a small many-to-many group. And you can see here what I've got basically is, instead of it taking you through the directory tree into a contact document directly, it takes you to a microsite. So what I've got within this group is the ability to share knowledge and training exchange. I'm not going to go into this, as well as perhaps, and in this case is true, a different collaboration path. So again, back to the custom group concept is the ability for you to have a different relationship outside of the basic and the premium TSANet to set this up to accomplish whatever means that you're trying to accomplish with a relationship. And again, it could be that there is no mutual customer that's already been defined, or it could be that I want a higher escalation path. Maybe it's a 1-hour response time in really critical type situations. Easy to set these relationships up. And then if we go into actually looking at a collaboration document, you can see here that what they basically have done is they've set up an alias. This particular relationship is set up so that if there's a Sev1 ticket opened up on both ends with a customer, that this puts it in automatically into a high escalation path. So this is just a custom group that was set up for those companies to do that. Okay, so that's what the member web is all about. There's a lot of different ways for you to get into this. I would advise you to go back to your program or business manager within TSANet. If you don't know who that is, get a hold of us and we'll tell you who that is. If you don't have an individual login, or a lot of companies use this group login concept that lets you go into TSANet and get into the directory without having to have a user ID and a password. Okay, but that's the member web, and that's what I wanted to cover as far as how you tactically place a call with another member company. Okay, we're going to go this. I've got just a couple more slides we'll open it up for Q&A, and then we'll let you guys get on with your day here. Okay, so here's kind of my key takeaways for this. Understand we're an organization of members. I think everybody gets that. We're a little bit different. You're a part of this, just like everybody else is. Understand the relationship that you're using. If it's basic or premium, that's pretty well defined as to what the terms are of that relationship, right? And that's also on our website. If it's a custom group, it could be a totally different set of elements. You can either come to us or you can go internally, and we'll point you to the person that you need to talk to if you're using a custom group to engage and work with another company. The whole point of this is to raise customer satisfaction. Don't finger point the customer around. This is where customers get really upset when you get into this back and forth between a couple of companies, and their frustration points go up really quickly. So the point here is for you all to be able to work with everybody else on behalf of that mutual customer and be able to raise that customer satisfaction level. You've got that escalation path for every contact document. There's an escalation path, as well as the ability for you to give feedback on how your call went. That was down at the very bottom. I didn't show you that, but it's there on every contact document. And if you got problems, let us know, right? If there's problems with a contact document, and sometimes people change over and they didn't let us know, or a number changes or whatever, if there's a problem, we'll try to go get that fixed for you as soon as we can. But if it doesn't work, we need to know about it, okay? And then we've got multiple enhancements. I really encourage you to go back and look at that, at the information on the website. Again, the case exchange is really hot amongst the members right now. So there's a lot going on, and we try to keep you up to date. And in fact, the last slide here is about these links for the resources. Stephanie's going to send this slide set out to everybody that was on here. Got a great LinkedIn group. It's got over 1,000 companies on it. And of course, you can get a hold of us. So let me stop there. I'll ask Paul or Stephanie if you've